What is up? It is Friday night. Friday morning, Thursday night, depending on where you are. We're going to talk about science today and the scientific community's response to UAP disclosure from the Pentagon and some of my thoughts on this because, I've been a member of both communities for over a decade and a half now. I have a degree in physics and I'm a member of the American Physical Society. So I understand things from the perspective of people like Neil Tyson and Don Lincoln of Fermi Labs, and even people on the other side of this, like Avi Loeb, and some of the other people, like we're going to talk about tonight, who are on the good side of this, versus people who have taken a kind of interesting stance. Well, it's not, it's interesting because it's historically consistent with the stance that many of the academics and institutions of the time took against people like Galileo, and refused to look through his telescope, continue to push their own theories and their own ideas of how the universe and the heavens were put together, and they didn't dare question religious scriptures and stuff. So there's always been a resistance to new ideas within the scientific community, and it's important to note who stands on what side of this, and some of the comments that they've made. Neil Tyson kind of just, he laughs it off and says, "Call me when you get a dinner invite from some aliens." And this one's, I haven't watched this yet, but I can't wait to see what he has to say here in this 19-minute segment. We would love to get an interview with Neil Tyson to talk, more about some of these ideas and give him. I'd like to, I'm putting together a new technical debriefing that I'm going to present tomorrow. I'm trying to get it ready based on my other one that I already put together for the Senate, Select Intelligence Committee. I'm putting this one together more for the scientists and the APEC conference and stuff. So I'm trying to rework a lot of the material and build off that, but I'm going to be presenting that tomorrow at 3 p.m. and hopefully I have it ready. So I'm going to get working on that soon after I get off here. I just wanted to jump on a quick stream and talk about some of this, these new ideas that are coming out, where who the theorists are to pay attention to. Avi Loeb's obviously, we like scientists that are thinking outside the box, and even the head of MIT's research lab. So MIT has this guy Rizwan Virk, an MIT graduate and founder of the incubator Play Labs at MIT, says that it would be a huge mistake not to take these reports seriously going forward. And, speaking about the Pentagon reports of these unidentified aerial objects. And he argues that a profound lack of curiosity in UFOs resulted in a mess of taboos and biases among the ranks of academia. Well, I would argue that, a lot of this is due from decades of indoctrination and programs to sort of, hardline academic thinking against, these types of ideas, and kind of pigeonhole them in their own epicycles, I guess you could call it. It's kind of like they've been forced, academia, don't know, just focus on the mathematics and learn, and just drilling the math and learning the epicycles, and don't question why. Like that was, a lot of physics, upper graduate level. I mean, undergraduate level physics, the upper level classes that I had to take, like junior and senior year of my degree, was a lot of just drilling, and you couldn't ask too many questions about, well, why are we doing it this way? No, just shut up and calculate. So I understand a lot of these things. I don't know. I hopefully I'm trying to explain this in a better light for people. Ronald Mallett's another good one. He's written a number of papers on gravitational fields of circulating light beams. Had this whole idea for a time machine based on trapping light and rotating tons of light in a circle, and whether it's time machine or anti-gravity, we don't know yet, but it's up for experiment. And there's all kinds of cool experiments, being done on trapping and condensing light at Harvard too. A woman named what's her name? Len Howe. She's doing all kinds of experiments at Harvard with light and the science of light and understanding what light is. And there's this whole idea that everything is light. Everything's kind of made of waves in one way or another, if you boil it down, quantum mechanics. And that atoms themselves might just be trapped light, or trapped, the trapped fields that are, bound at a positional point. And I don't know, it gets into some really cool physics. There's a ton of stuff to study when you get into this. You look into Lockheed Martin's. So I have a whole page on alien scientists. If you go to my website, go to alienscientist.com. I think I got hacked. I got to get SSL certificates set up and get some of these comments and things locked down, because it looks like certain things got infected or something. I got some warning that said something, but I'm looking into it right now. But it just shows you that someone's doesn't like the information that I'm compiling and putting together. And I don't know why there's this such resistance in the academic community, but it, like he talks about all these, conspiracies are ridiculous and they're misinforming people and really it's just like he's just such a shill for mainstream, mumbo jumbo and propaganda. It's ridiculous. The comments that I would love to, I could criticize him on a number of things. Neil did this comment about, science is true whether you believe in it or not. And I don't know, it's just caused all kinds of rifts between I made a Twitter post the other day, and it caused even bigger rift because people view me as being, from this I'm a skeptic, and I'm a debunker in a lot of cases. A lot of these things, the UFO cases, can be explained. And I'm going to cover a lot of that in my technical briefing, going back over explanations for a lot of these things that we can find in technology and bridging that gap. So, Dan's calling me. What is going on? I'll send you the link, Dan, if you want to join, man. But yeah, man. Neil Tyson, I just want to talk a couple things about Neil. Science is true whether you believe in it or not. That's not the case. Science is a tool. The scientific method is a tool that we use to test our hypotheses. So when we have an idea about what something is, we come up with a reasonable way to test that, hypothesis. So is A true? If A is true, then B must be true, and we can test B. So let's go out and test B and make a test for B, and then collect data on these tests and use that in our, to establish science. And that's sort of scientific philosophy and scientific thinking in a nutshell, as far as I learned it. And you can look up logical fallacies. These will tell you ways that, most common ways that people can be misled or misguided, and one of the biggest ones I'd like to point out is appeal to authority. And that's where you just say, like, oh, well, science is true whether you believe in it or not. That's actually a fallacy. It's an appeal to authority. and it's saying that, well, I'm science, and I'm, true. I speak the truth whether you believe me or not. And that's not necessarily true. It's actually a fallacy. It's not establishing itself as a true claim, because you can. It's basically just saying that it's an appeal to authority is the logical fallacy for it, and you can look this up. So there's all types of fallacies that are common, and it's important for people who get into UFOs and are in, just starting to understand this stuff, to really research science and understand logical fallacies and understand logic and why we believe certain things, because it's important to understand our own brains and how our own heads are wired, and to see pattern recognition and to form conclusions about the world based on patterns that we see, which may or may not actually be consistent with logical structures. So yeah, fuck Wikipedia, right? Sorry, there I go swearing on stream, dropping F-bombs, reading your comments. Guys, Tyson seems to, science constantly evolves with additional data. That's so true. Thank you for the $5 super chat, loyal to the foil. Glad caught you live. Tyson seems to forget science isn't settled. It evolves, as we get additional data. And what's happening now is that a lot of this UFO stuff has been hey Dan, welcome to the chat. I'm going to post the StreamYard link too in a little bit where you guys can join, but I just want to show, it's a reason why people like Neil are
hey everybody
stream and touted. He's almost like being used as a propaganda tool when he makes statements like that. It's kind of like a gatekeeping too, when he's trying to convince the scientific community that this is being skeptical and this is being, scientific, the way his approach to UFOs, which I don't think his approach to UFOs is very scientific or proper. And I'd like to talk about some of the other people, who have taken a much more interesting, an open-minded approach.
Yeah, I was going to say, he doesn't really have much of an open mind, does he?
You're really low, Dan. If you can.
Okay,
I can
hang
barely
on.
hear you.
I'll make an adjustment there. I installed some new software, and I was wondering what that was going to do to everything.
Well, Aviloa is definitely on the good side, but this is even cooler that I found. I'm going to post this article here in the chat, and we'll try to get this.
How about now? Can you hear me better now?
No, you're still pretty low.
Really? Okay.
I'm gonna post this in the links in the description too. I keep posting these in the description. Oh, it won't let me do it. An error occurred. All right, so here's the deal, right? So this Rizwan Kirk guy from the Incubator Play Labs at MIT, he gets it. He understands that
testing.
Having students look into UFOs and start to research UFOs from a scientific perspective could lead to all kinds of new breakthroughs in science and physics in general. He says studying UFOs could potentially redefine all of science and lead to a new understanding of our place in the universe and new advances in material science, biology, quantum physics, cosmology, and social sciences. And I can't. Oh, am I echoing now?
Can you hear me now, Jeremy? Can you hear me better?
You're even lower.
Really?
And now it's echoing on my end.
Hold on. Echo cancellation. Now you should be able to hear me way better. I've got 5 green bars on the mic. You hear me?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you good.
All right. Well,
can you hear me?
It was like reverb, like crazy.
Yeah, it might have been me. I hit the echo.
You got like an effects studio. You're just like running effects.
No, I got I downloaded a program and got rid of my old software, and it's new Logitech program. It has way more. It's so much more advanced than what I had before. I can adjust each individual microphone. I'm just wondering if you can hear me better. It's showing that you can, but
I
that
think
doesn't mean
these guys
anything.
said they can hear you fine. So, all
Okay.
right. I just don't know why you're quiet for me. But
Did you try turning your headphones up a little bit, or
yeah, they're up all the way. But
okay?
because I'm loud as hell in my headphones, and
Oh, I can put my headphones on if you want.
but anyways, I want to talk about. I wanted to bring it back to this whole idea of what physics thinks, and because I got all these people attacking me, right? I basically made a comment about the woo woo, because there's so much woo woo being sold about interdimensional this and you
Yes.
know um interdimensional beings, and they use this interdimensional word like a lot, and there's a lot of hoo-ha going around about all this. We were talking about this Skinwalker Ranch thing, and I'm like, I haven't really talked about it or covered it because I just view this as like an attempt to them to stir up the scientific disclosure with a bunch of hoo-ha.
Yeah. Yeah, I had messaged you today about the Skinwalker Ranch. It's back
I
on
I
TV.
can't even hear you at all, Dan. You're just even quieter
Really?
now, man.
How about this? I'm going to shut everything down because the computer's been on all night. I'll restart everything and come back in, and we'll see if that corrects the problem. Typically, that'll solve the issue. Okay. So give me about 5 minutes. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Cool.
right. So I made this comment about, that we really ought to try to understand the scientific community better, try to understand the academic community, try to understand what's going on in physics and where these people like, Fermi labs are coming from. And I got a lot of flack for that. I got a lot of people saying, why can't we have both? Why can't we have, why can't we mix all the hoo-ha with the real physics and just, admit that we don't know anything at all? And it's like, no, we know a lot of stuff, and we have a lot of great tools for, learning about the universe and figuring out how the universe works. And people need to be more aware of those and not ignore those tools, and learn how to use those tools. And also, I don't know, there's a whole divide that's going on right now. And I want to find that comment and read some of the responses, but I'd rather just leave that to Twitter. And I'm trying to bridge a gap here and open the minds of the scientific community to this material. And people like these interdimensional hoo-has and that stuff, it doesn't really help. I don't think. It only helps when we can try to like say, well, here's a physics paper, or here's something related to this. Oh, here's a guy, on, if you go to my technologies page, you can go and link to this stuff. So go down to Lockheed Martin and say, oh, well, here's, the senior staff physicist for Lockheed Martin. And he's this guy named Bernard Haish. And, here's his list of publications and his CV. Here's 135 papers that were written by him, full papers on, gravity and the quantum vacuum inertia hypothesis, or geometrodynamics, inertia and the quantum vacuum, or inertial mass and the quantum fields, you know. So, or you can find guys like Mike McCulloch on quantizedinertia.com, and he's got some interesting theoretical papers on quantized inertia. That's Mike McCulloch. And you can read up on some of these newer ideas, which are getting a lot of they're getting a lot of roughage. The dark matter physicists are saying, this can't be a better explanation for dark matter, and they're insisting that dark matter is the right explanation for all this stuff, when he's explaining all these physical measurements and all this stuff in terms of new physics way better than they can with their epicycles. But they're still refusing to look through the telescope, and they're claiming, oh, well, there's a $1 million prize if you guys break anti-gravity, and there's a Goody award, hey, there's a $1 million prize. Meanwhile, we have this is our facility. Any one of these buildings probably costs $1 million, and just to build any one of these facilities, it's a multi-million dollar. If it has 500,000. I think it had $500 million per year is their budget. 541 million, if I'm not mistaken. I looked it up. So they get $541 million per year to run their experiments, but we can't get any funding for new propulsion technologies and our so-called anti-gravity experiments, which they're doing here. They admit where they're doing anti-gravity experiments there at CERN and Fermilabs. So it's kind of like what's going on with you only offer a $1 million prize for us if we figure out anti-gravity, but meanwhile you guys get hundreds of millions of dollars annually to do your research.
Oh, there we go.
And to tell us all and to make videos, 9-minute videos that you say are comprehensive and complete, like summaries on anti-gravity that that get 200,000 views, and where you're basically telling people that this is all hoo-ha and it doesn't exist, and then it's all Bob Lazar. And that's the crazy thing, is he cited the Bob Lazar stuff. He talks about S4. He talks about the element 115, and like he mentions all that stuff, and that's all roped into this whole UFO stuff. So now UFO stuff to physicists is Bob Lazar.
Makes me sick, huh?
And he's not even a real physicist.
Oh, that guy's not a physicist, huh?
Bob Lazar?
No, the guy you just showed there, that guy's channel there, that Fermilab or whatever.
Fermilab? No, oh, Don Lincoln's
He's
definitely
the real deal,
a physicist.
Right? Yeah.
These guys are real physicists.
What were you referring to? It's like, are you referring to the gateway being? You mentioned element 115, and the next thing you know, you got 50,000 subs, type of thing.
I can't even hear you at all, dude. It's so quiet. Here, some other guys want to join in. Here's the link in the StreamYard. I'm gonna post that so people can join, because I want to see if I can hear other people. But I just think it's crazy, like we're trying to show like the real physics research that's been done into anti-gravity and do real disclosure on a scientific level, and these people are just pushing all this hoo-ha physics and saying, oh, telling me to shut the hell up and sit down, and that I don't know what I'm talking about and I need to step out of the way. And meanwhile, like, we got Jeremy Corbell and Bob Lazar out here like front and center, getting on Joe Rogan, telling people that this is the real deal, people. This is what's up, and this is what's real, and it's taking the whole scientific community and the academic community and just it's drawing a giant wedge. It's not opening minds. It's not cracking new people.
It's closing minds.
It's closing minds, and it's making people want to just restrict information even more. And that's the goal, is that they want people to think that any kind of hoo-ha and anything outside this, they want to polarize all types of thinking.
It's a psyop to perfection at this point, because
the goal here is to make sure that they want to brainwash everyone into thinking the same thing, and you can see that in Neil deGrasse Tyson's post, that being heavily influenced by this polarizing propaganda that we all have to just go along with whatever the mainstream says, and anything that's outside of that is conspiracy theories, and it's not being skeptical. It's not real skepticism. That real skepticism is being skeptical of the people who don't believe the mainstream, and that this is the stuff that's being pushed, and it's really scary, and it's something that people aren't aware of in the UFO community. And I try to point out, that the danger, how blue stuff and the Skinwalker Ranch crap is dangerous, and
Did you
why.
see the rods they showed last night on the show, and then people were speculating that the rods are element 115. And of course they're not, because there is no such thing as a stable. There is no stable element 115 that we know of.
It's a big distraction, man. I swear.
It's huge.
They took all these ancient legends that the Native Americans had about this place, and that's what the Air Force did.
Mhm.
They took like ancient legends and they blew those up and used those types of sites as cover.
Notice a billionaire keeps buying the property. The property doesn't need to be purchased by a billionaire. I think the last time it was sold, it did like 3 million or something like that. The new guy that owns it, Brandon, what's his last name, Jeremy? The guy that just bought Skinwalker, and he has a TV show now.
Yo, Dan is just reverb and echo, they say.
Oh, are they saying that? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my headphones on now, so I'm going to mute myself out. It must be some confusion between my new software and the site. Oh, God. Now I should just give me a minute.
What the heck? I don't even get this message. I don't even get this super chat. It makes no sense. Obviously, Jeremy, aliens are real. Bob Lazar is an expert in every field. This must be sarcasm. And none of these sightings have ever been a black project. Yeah, I don't know. I know that aliens have to be real. They have to be out there. They have to be opening some kind of portals and using some kind of portals to travel. Whether there's one over Skinwalker Ranch, that disappears and can't be seen when we go to look for it, or bring scientific equipment out there. That's hard to say, because if you can't measure it and it keeps disappearing, who's to say that it's aliens? Who's to say it's not some military experiment or government experiment with, our version or understandings of the technology? So I'm not convinced one way or the other on the Skinwalker Ranch thing. I thought the whole thing was a distraction from the get-go. And, as soon as I saw that Mr. Corbell was involved at all, I kind of have my suspicions about the whole thing. But then Bigelow, the Bigelow, it's the same players, the same people that have been bringing us disinformation and selling UFOs for profit. It's a business to them, and it's all about selling woo, and that's what their business has always been about. And I think that I've gotten so much flack inside this community because I threatened that woo with by taking down the woo with real physics and talking people about real DARPA experiments and real scientific exploration of this field, rather than the fake stuff. So yeah, it's 12 at night, dude. I of course I woke up and I couldn't sleep because I'm like, this stuff's going crazy on all this. The internet. Bob Lazar is the best expert on. He's not an MIT physics degree, dude. There's no evidence that he has any degrees. He was taking courses at Pierce Junior College for physics when he was supposedly at MIT, bro. Get the story straight, dude. The guy doesn't know any physics. It's for real. It's not real science, bro. I have a whole list of all the real programs on my website, You can go to that page right here. I don't know what's up with my bro. How's your mic working, Manny?
Am I good? Can you hear me okay?
Jeremy, can you hear me now?
Hold on a second. I gotta figure this audio out. It's gotta be on my end.
I can hear everybody else just fine.
Jeremy, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Well, now I'm going to plug my camera in and see what happens. And because I want this Bob Lazar stuff also. Okay, the camera doesn't have to be utilized. As long as you can freaking hear me, that's all I care about. So turn the camera off.
There we go. All right. I got it. Now I figured it out, which setting it was.
Okay, can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you much better now,
Okay,
man.
brother. All right, man. Cool. All right. So, all right. Yeah, I call it one thing about the Bob Lazar story when it comes to MIT. It's real simple to figure out. Bob Lazar, there was a gap between his alleged degree at MIT and his start at S4, which would have been about 8 years, 7 or 8 years. So how would they have been able to see 7, 8 years into the future that this guy's degrees would have needed wiped out 7 or 8 years later because he was going to take on this job at S4? They would have had to have known prior. They would have had to have prior knowledge to wipe out all his
best case scenario with Bob Lazar. I think, Dan, we've discussed this. I think the best case with it would be if he if he was hired out there for like disinformation, like say like Richard Doty and these Falcon Aviary guys, like basically brought him out there and gave him these documents and showed him a bunch of VZ9 Avro cars and some other stuff in these hangars, captured. One of the things I'm going to include, I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek into this. The VZ9 Avro car is just some of the U.S. Air Force flying saucers that I know. They've got to have all these things in a hangar somewhere.
Ed used to always talk about the Avro car. He had a connection to that story as well, Ed Fouche.
Then this guy Alfred Loading, he was a civilian engineer. He worked with Robert Goddard, and he he worked on designing and testing saucer-shaped craft for them for years.
Mm-hmm.
They probably built a number of prototypes and flew them. So that's another cool one. But
I honestly believe this was the garbage they showed the public. The old switch, bait and switch. This is the stuff that they were permitted. Hey, show this stuff and try to shock the public, while what was really going on was something maybe similar to the ARV, which Mark McCandless used to talk about. I mean, we've thrown that idea around, possibly. I'm just throwing a small possibility out there. I'm not sure that story's true either. We won't ever really know now, will we?
Colin Grant,
all these people are dying.
Colin Grant, thank you. He threw us another $100 to make the Lazar documentary. And Dan,
is that the same guy? Wow,
that's the same dude. So yeah, if we got to do the Lazar documentary, and we got to interview a number of people that we've put on the list that need to be, included.
Colin, if you want this done, and you seem to have some money. I hate to ask for money, but it's going to take some bucks. But you're looking at the best 2 guys in the world to do it.
We got all the connections to all these people. We can know exactly where to go and get a hold of them.
You wouldn't believe who we're talking to right now on a daily basis. It's amazing. No one else has ever been able to get to this guy. He came to us, which blew us away. And yes,
people need this. People need that Lazar documentary, dude. It's true.
Well, then we need to do it. We need to do it, but we need to raise some funds because I need to move in with Jeremy for about 6 months to a year I'd say it's going to take that much at least, Jeremy. And there's going to be some traveling involved. We're going to need to go to Las Vegas. We're going to need to go to New Mexico. We're going to need to go to a number of different places. Also, there's a lot of people to be interviewed that
I'm already going out to New Mexico.
You are?
So I'm already going out to New Mexico in August for Tesla Tech.
Go along, maybe.
Yeah, Tesla Tech.
Oh yeah, Tesla Tech. What's going on with that? I've heard about this.
So it's August 11th to August 15th, and it's in Albuquerque, and it's at the Crown Plaza Hotel. and I'll be there as a media host, and I'll be filming and broadcasting live from there. Hopefully most of the whole event. I'm gonna be recording it and posting it as well. But I'm gonna be setting up and bringing my equipment down there to do live interview. We're gonna do so many, dude. Last time I was there, we were up till like 3 a.m. every night with like, we had like these roundtable discussions with like Marco Rodin and Nassim Harriman, like all these like, you know,
Oh, wow.
people like that are big names and have huge followings that were just like there, just hanging out and just talking technical with like a whole group of people. And it was like, I don't know, it wasn't super like technical. I've been to a lot of like conferences and colloquiums and MIT presentations and stuff, so I know like some real crazy scientists. But there was some interesting ideas being floated around, and some, you know, it's outside the box thinking, and there is some good stuff there. But man, if me and Jeremiah go there with some presentations, and we're gonna be like
Jeremiah, yeah. Hey, by the way, Colin Grant's blocking the guy's head there on the bottom.
Yes.
I don't know if you've seen that or not.
Colin, you're the man. Thank you for that, dude.
Yeah, Colin is the man. Thank you so much, guys, because that's what's going to get everything going. We're going to need
and you can bring your kids 8, 19 and under, come in free. So
guitars and amplifiers are welcome where Jeremy and I stay.
yes, in our
we
hotel
went to
room.
West Virginia, man. We rocked out. I brought a 2x12 amp, and we were jamming. We're just going to need a second amp this time, which I got covered.
I wonder if we kept the neighbors up, man. They must have been like, what the hell?
Now, remember that one kid was, he was like, oh, you guys are the ones that are playing when we were, yeah, there was people upstairs that heard us jamming out because you were singing and everything, you know. Jeremy sings, he does it all. I just rock out. I jam, you know. There's always a guitar within at least a foot of me, you know, always.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for real. We're gonna set up a way to like donate through Bitcoin and Doge and all that. So maybe we'll set up a whole thing. People can.
God, I mean, just the thought of doing the Bob Lazar documentary, and if
we're gonna be out there for Tesla Tech, we should arrange some footage and filming and like some interviews around that, because we could take a trip out to. I want to go out to Phoenix and visit Schratt, and
oh yeah, he'll come down and meet us. I guarantee you, he will. He'll fly down.
No, he can drive out. He said, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be driving because I guess you have to have the friggin' thing to fly, and I'm not getting
interstate, I believe. You know, it'd be incredible. I just thinking about this. Imagine if Gabe showed up, Gabe Zeifman, and flew us out over Papoose Lake. Oh, that would be awesome. Though,
we gotta get a hold of him, man. If we could take a flight in the plane, that's when they'd shoot us down, though. They'd
yeah. All of a sudden there'd be some accident. No, that type of plane right there, he could glide that right into the dry lake bed and land no problem. That's what's great about that Cessna. This I forget which model he has. It's a Cessna like 780 or something like that, or it's an older one.
So Gabe Zeifman is this guy right here, and he flew his plane.
He rules.
He flew his plane over over Area 51 and Papoose Lake. He's taking like pictures of some cool stuff, man.
The guy literally, if he would have been around 30 years ago, the story would have been over. It would have been over quickly.
But this is cool, dude. The amount of hangars that they have there, they got to have like all the secret craft at Area 51. It just makes a lot of sense.
Didn't you see about the B-21 Raider? They did a show the other day. They had Jorg Arnu on. And for people who don't know who Jorg Arnu is, he is he's been following. He has Dreamland Resort. He has been following Area 51 for a long time. He's German. He's got like the 1980s mullet. He rides a Harley, and he lives in Rachel. And he claims he had some comms the other night of the B-21 Raider, and it was really interesting. Now he claims it's been flying around out there 5 or 6 years. I would agree with that, and the reason is because they're just now saying that they're going to start testing it in the next 2 years. That means it's been flying around for a while. But yeah, the B-21 Raider, it looks similar to the B-2, but it's definitely different. They just released some drawings of it. I'll know the drawings when I see them. Those right there are not it. Well, the one on the left's the B-2.
Yeah.
One on the right's the B-21. They're trying to say it's a B-21. Okay, Jeremy, on the very top up there where it says Northrop Grumman, that's it. The second one in.
So I want to show you this. This was in my thing. But did you know that about the Horton parabola?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
So
the Horton brothers were so far ahead of their time, yeah.
So a lot of these wing-shaped craft were being developed by the Nazis, and these two brothers called the Horton brothers. They had tons of experimental wing designs. But one of the most interesting one was the Horton parabola.
Sure is.
There's a whole rumor that that it's possible that Roswell crash was a Horton parabola. But why the cover balloon story and the weather balloon story and all that? Because look at the shape of this, how the back half is missing, and then
Well, the first the first sighting was Kenneth Arnold. Kenneth Arnold's drawings look identical to one of the Horton wings. Now, if you got to get the actual drawing that Kenneth Arnold made, and it's startlingly like the part of the reason, Jeremy, I think, is this. It's real simple. They didn't want people to know that there was a bunch of Nazi scientists running bases in New Mexico, running bases out of mainly in New Mexico back then. They didn't want people knowing that. That could have shocked the public. Think about it. Hey, guess what? We've got a bunch of Nazi scientists out here running our army bases. I mean, they were at what would be White Sands today. That's where that's another thing too. You got to think about this. Why on earth are all these UFO crashes right around classified air bases in the Southwest, in the deserts? And it's not hard to figure out why. The cover up is not hard to figure out if you have some brains and look into this. I'm not saying people that don't look into it are stupid, but people make statements without researching anything. And that's the worst thing you can do.
When they want it to be, I want it to be aliens too, and but
the bias confirmation, right?
Yeah,
that bias confirmation will ruin your life. It's Jeremy and me spent about 10 years with bias confirmation, and then when we woke up and started realizing what was really going on, that's actually when it got more exciting, because to me, I think it's more fascinating that we are building UFOs, what you would call a UFO, an unidentified flying object.
Yeah, like flying V's and saucer craft,
yeah, man, massive triangles flying around. Whether Ed was right or not, but it's starting to look like the math is proving Ed to be right. That's a prototype right there of a F-117. Believe it or not, I know it doesn't look right because it looks too skinny and too long. But yeah, that's
I gotta get that
F-117 prototype there. That's part of the F-117. What is that web page called, Jeremy? The F-117 father page, or the oh darn it, where Ed's in the hangar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's and we got in an argument with the one guy about it, and he's like, look, Ed's got two of the people mixed up. The guy on the wing is so and so, and the guy on the floor is so and so. And I'm like, the fact that he knew their names is all that mattered, man.
Yeah, let's find that.
That was darn it, the F-117 prototype. I used to have that stuff totally memorized.
That bald picture of Ed? We gotta find that.
Yeah, and Ed's own daughter was like, that's definitely my dad, because Ed always had a way of sticking his hand in his left pocket. And remember that? He always had his hand in his left pocket when he'd get up and walk around. The Have Blue was part of that web page, but where is that? It's called the...
There it is. Look, I found it. Just searching for it.
What's it called, the website?
That's my alien scientist page.
Oh, yeah, the picture on there, but the website's incredible. It's all about, man, I can't remember the name of Yeah, there's Ed.
There it is. Right.
Ed was a nobody, right? Yeah. That's definitely Ed. I knew Ed for a long time. That's the way Ed stood. That's Ed's lean. That's him. And there have been other people have come out and said it's him. That's the second F-117 it grew in '79, I believe.
This tall fella right here, because that was like 6'4".
That was between 6'4" and 6'5". Yes, yep, that's him. And a matter of fact, his daughter had sent me photographs of him wearing that same like sweater, same type of clothing, and yeah, you got to remember that was the way people dressed back then. I dressed like that on Saturdays. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Senior Trend, Jeremy, is the name of that. I couldn't think of it. It just hit me right now. Senior Trend is the name of that website. If you type F-117 Senior Trend in, all this will pop up. That picture will pop up. Everything about the F-117 Senior Trend will come up. And that was the first successful flying F-117 at Groom. They flew it out there for several years, and then everything was moved to Tonopah Test Range. Imagine that. The home of the real S4, by the way.
That's right, Tonopah.
Yep.
So let's talk about the Tonopah Test Range and the real S4.
All right. Sounds like fun to me, bud.
Yeah. So
Actually, I drove by Tonopah about a year ago on the highway there, and it looked like they were doing a lot of new construction, at least from what you could see. Those long kind of underground bunkers that are semi-buried, rectangular buildings, maybe 100 feet or so long. There's a whole ton of new ones out there, so I don't know what they're doing, but something's going on out there.
Yeah, they built a bunch of new tunnels to enter into Tonopah. You know, it's like you can see it from the other side, but you got to enter through this tunnel to get down in. Just you kind of go down in, then come back out, kind of like in a football stadium or something. And Gabe Zeifman's pictures were phenomenal that he took.
So S4 or Site 4 at Tonopah Test Range, that was where they did all the electronic ECCM, right?
Classified RCS testing, which is radar cross section. They would test all the foreign aircraft that they would get through there, through however they acquire them, and all of our classified black programs would go through there, and we would utilize the most modern radar systems there are possible to see our stealth cross sections, if there is one at all. The idea is to get the cross section of any of the new crafts down to about the size of a bird or under. Like I'm talking about a finch or something. That's literally, imagine you take a B-21 that's coming out, and the radar cross section on the thing is the size of a bird, an oriole or something. It's just incredible what they're able to do. And there's even more and more technology out now. I think that's why the B-21's taken so long to come out, because the technology at this point, they're headed towards invisibility is what's going on. And the whole tic-tac thing.
About that, man.
Oh, yeah. Ed was way ahead of his time. I don't care what anybody says about him. He was way ahead of his time.
We got to get this story straight, because, man, I got into it with UFO Jesus was like saying, oh, didn't Ed Fouche admit the whole thing was a lie? And he came out on that video, and we have to find the whole version of that. I've been looking through
I have it.
It's on one of my old hard drives, I think. Yeah. I have to get it. But we have to play that. I want to play. I'll
upload it to YouTube and send it to you.
I want to play the whole thing about, because that was Ed in the later part of like our friendship, man, when he used to just down a handle of whiskey and just go on rants at like 4 a.m.
Yeah. Ed had PTSD and never slept, and it was something I dealt with the entire time I knew him, and it was difficult to deal with. When this happened, at times he would argue with people, and Jeremy and him had gotten into it. I'd gotten into it with Ed, and it's just something that we don't understand as civilians, what these guys went through. Ed was in Vietnam, and he definitely had PTSD, but he did some stuff to Jeremy, and Jeremy did some stuff back to him, and we'll straighten that all out. People, I think, will understand the whole thing about Ed saying he was lying and stuff's not actually true. But
we caught him in a lot of things. There was just manipulate, he was like a manipulator in a lot of different ways, and I kept note of all the different times, throughout.
Well, don't you think,
But
Jeremy, that Ed was so obsessed with people wanting to know the story he was telling was true that it drove him nuts? I think Bob Lazar drove him nuts because he just knew that story was bunk. And it detracted away from real stories. These flying triangles, people have spotted them all over the place. I don't know if too many people have spotted a Billy Meyer ship. These flying triangles. There was a bunch of cops that seen on night shift. If you look up a case called UFOs over Illinois, these guys drew the craft that looked just like what Ed has seen. David Marler has one of the most incredible collections of triangular UFOs I've ever seen, and the drawings and so forth from the witnesses, they're just like what Ed drew. So either Ed was some type of clairvoyant psychic that just was able to see these things, or he saw one of these things. He claims he's seen one fly over, and he claims he's seen one on the ground. But we'll have to do a video about Ed too, and Jeremy can explain what, and I'll
we got to get
support
that
him.
video. We got to get the full video and
Yeah.
show the whole conversation and go over that.
Yeah,
Because
I'll support Jeremy
video
100%. Go ahead, Jeremy. I'm sorry.
We'll go over the whole thing. I'm
Yeah.
going to post that because it's not like a simple. I was trying to like respond to it in a tweet, and I'm like, it's just not enough like to say like the whole everything.
Yeah, no.
Because it's just I don't know whether he would, even if he said he was a bullshitter and he made the whole thing up, dude. He was fucking drunk in the morning, and he could have, like.
Well, you got to
what I mean?
remember, he
doesn't mean
attacked
that he
you
did.
hard. He attacked Jeremy hardcore, and he went after Jeremy's family, if you will. And Jeremy went after him in a way that was like, wow. And it was a big smack. But this may clear a few things up, but we got to do it the right way and do a video about 10 minutes and just explain it, show the clip, and then people might understand what was going on. But Ed had a habit of, Ed liked to argue, man, when he got a few drinks in him. He had PTSD, and I'm not saying that as an excuse, but any of you guys out there that have PTSD know that life becomes complicated when you have this. And he had a number of surgeries. He had a fake heart valve, just a lot of health problems and stuff. And I was the last one to talk to Ed alive. I talked to Ed all day on boy, I can't remember. I think it was like a Wednesday. And ironically, the strangest thing ever was that night after we had gotten off Skype, there was a show on about black flying triangles on the Smithsonian Channel. I'm like, what? And I texted Ed. I said, Ed, you got to record the Smithsonian Channel at 9 or 10 o'clock your time. I said, they're talking about black triangles on there tonight. I said, this is going to be epic. It's a brand new show. And it was really good. Well, Ed never responded. And typically in the middle of the night, Ed would respond to me with a text. Never responded the next day at 3 o'clock. I had texted him, and I got a text back saying to call the house. I thought something's wrong with his phone. He can't call. This happened before. And his wife answered, and I knew right then and there he was dead. I knew. And it's kind of weird. That day he went to the VA, so I'm not sure if he, what happened to him. But he might have had some health problems we didn't know about. He kept to himself, Ed was something else, I'll tell you. They wiped out his entire YouTube page, didn't they, Jeremy?
Yeah, all his videos are gone.
I wish I had known that. I was in probably, 3 or 4 or 5 of them. Jeremy's in a few of them, and they're gone forever. And I don't know if anybody's got any of Ed's YouTube videos recorded. Please let us know, because I'd like to get a hold of a few of those. They're gone, and it bites. How's it going down there, Manny?
Great. Good to be here. You guys got a good
Cool, man.
conversation going.
Cool.
You know?
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you, I was wondering, like, you were talking about the Horton brothers earlier and their impact on modern aircraft design. I've often wondered this, like, at the time that they built those designs and made those aeronautical revolutions at the time, they were under an armistice and weren't supposed to be building anything at all over there. So how the hell did they manage to do that? And where did they get their innovation? It's always perplexed me. And I can't just get a simple, straight answer on it. Like, they were just way ahead of their time. But, it's taken us so long really to, apply what we learned from the craft that we got from paperclip and things like that. Yeah. How did they do it so fast under scrutiny when they weren't supposed to be doing it at all? What do you guys think about that?
Well, they were doing it under the Nazi banner for how many years? 25 years or something like that. Had to be. They were fairly young. I don't know if you've ever seen the TV show where they actually reconstructed the Horton 229, I believe it was. Did you ever see that TV show they did on, it's either on Discovery or Nat Geo? It's absolutely amazing. These things were made out of what you would call modern day plywood. There was a shortage on metals. Yeah, there was a shortage on metals because of the war. And the war effort here, people were recycling metal like crazy. Well, same thing over there, but that show where they reconstructed the National Geographic's, there it is. It's incredible the way they built these things, and just they were jet powered, the first twin jet powered crafts. I mean, it's just stunning. Jeremy, what do you have to say? It's just the design, where'd it come from? So far ahead of its time. It was a flying wing. Everything nowadays is the same type of thing. The F-35, the F-22, all that stuff. It's all one. The craft, the fuselage, everything is all one these days. We don't have it anymore. You have a fuselage and you have two wings sticking out. It's much weaker. The design is right there. I mean, they were 50 or not 50. They were, at least 50 years ahead of their time. You know?
With the jet engines back in the mid 40s.
Yeah,
definitely.
It was incredible.
Just look at that thing. I mean, that could be built today, and look, it could fit right in with everything else.
Howard Hughes would have went crazy if he would have seen this. Howard Hughes was way out there when it came to this kind of stuff, and it's incredible.
He built the Spruce Goose out of wood as well, right? It's here.
Yes, he did. That's what.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's he had to build out of wood for the same reason. They were the metal.
I think the Japanese built some balloons out of wood to a rattan that was kind of like a thick cardboard or wood or something like that too. Those are the ones that they flew over and tried to bomb the West Coast with.
They claim that a lot of the UFOs that we used to see were the Japanese balloons still flying over in the upper atmosphere at one time. That they were actually what UFOs were originally, at least the disc-looking type ones, because once a balloon goes up so high, it starts to flatten because of the pressure. And they actually had stated that people in government had stated that that's what people were seeing when they were seeing UFOs at one point. And they were loaded with all kinds of bombs and stuff. They found a few of them in like Washington and
Well, this is what I think. Like it makes so much more sense to me that these things that people were seeing were the experimental aircraft of the day that I'm finding all this research for and evidence for.
Yep.
This is what the Twining memo. This is what the Pentagon thought Roswell was afterwards, right? According to their memos, the CIA, all the paperwork that you can find, and it would be obviously like they would be almost in their favor to tell the public it was aliens rather than tell them the truth. I don't know if this had to have been more classified than Project Mogul if Mogul was used as the cover story.
Pretty hard to investigate an alien, right? How do you investigate an alien? You can't. Right?
Yeah. Not when you got warships and submarines and not spaceships. Yeah, you're not going to do much. But that's after paperclip. You got to kind of look at it there. Was it stuff that we crash testing it, trying to figure out how to fly it, or was it something that somebody else was testing? And why would they test it here if it wasn't us? It seems like you test it in your own backyard where you don't want everyone to see it. But who knows? Maybe once you're ready to go to war with it, you do want to test it and see a real world response.
Mm-hmm. Thing about that Horton 229, it was so fast. Have you ever seen? They would do simulations on this thing, and it would just anything. There was nothing that came close to that thing. Nothing that came close to it, and just absolutely amazing. The technology those guys had back then, in their brains at least. And that was where they were flying them. I think when the ones they test flew, they were made out of plywood, modern day plywood. So imagine if they were made out of aluminum or, galvanized or something back then. Something much more lightweight.
Oh, that flying wing.
Claymore, he told me about this, the Prandtl equation and the Prandtl wing. This is interesting. This German physicist Ludwig Prandtl. So this might have been the physics that they use, because it's all about interesting. This might have been where the inspiration. We were talking about where the source of this inspiration came from. It might have just been through pure physics and engineering. Start with a wing design and I don't know. Yeah. It's interesting.
It's so different than any other wing design that anyone had at the time. That's the thing. And how did anyone? I still, the fact that they got it out so quickly and were able to use it and weaponize it so fast without being noticed is surprising to me. There is some interesting tech out there from World War II where you look at some different achievements or different times where different secret weapons they were working on, and like the radio frequency guided torpedoes where they'd drop them out of the plane and they'd steer them with the joystick from the gunner pit of the airplane, things like that. It's like they were way ahead of us in a lot of different scientific ways, and I'm just kind of curious again, like how they were able to build that up after they were supposed to not be militarizing. And is it people didn't know, people didn't care, or by the time people got too involved or invested to be involved, it was too late? I'm not sure, but I still want to know where they got it from. I want to know where they came up with their idea. I'd love to go pick their brains, fly back in time, and just be a fly on the wall when they came up with it, just to know.
Well, they might have been reading, Tesla's articles from the 1910, the early 1900s, because Tesla made an electric boat at the World's Fair in 1893.
Right. I could see how that could have been converted into the same thing. I read about his little sailboat that he flew around that was RF controlled to prove that it could work. And I could see how someone could get that. I mean, that there was a sharing of knowledge that was going on across borders back then by the, Einstein Lazard letter, that people were giving information probably both ways amongst the scientific community, trying to work things out. And, just like today, I'm sure there were spies out there trying to get technology that they could weaponize, but I guess Tesla would be a good one to do that, dude. Just follow around and pick up everything he has and catalog it and say, how can we twist this to our needs?
Yeah, could you imagine? I mean, as intelligent as that guy was back then, just absolutely unbelievable. And then, when he died, they came in, and the FBI I think came in and just absolutely robbed everything he had in his place. But I think he was in Park Avenue in New York when he died. He was in an astute area, but he was broke from everything I understand.
Yeah, and that's what I had read too, that he was in a hotel being paid for, by somebody else. And that shortly after his death, within hours, that I think it was the Office of Alien Affairs, which would later, I think, become like something like the CIA or something like that. Mm-hmm. That's what they were. And they came in and took it all. It might've been a precursor for the FBI, actually.
I like that. The Office of Alien Affairs. I've never heard of that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. It tripped me out too until I looked at it. I was like, oh, you meant like immigrant aliens, not.
Did you ever hear of the Alien Administration? Did you ever hear of the Alien Administration building at Area 51?
No.
It's supposedly not real, but it supposedly is real. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of them. It's one of them ones where it's like, yeah, oh no, it's real. Oh no, it's not. Yeah, it's real. It just depends on who you talk to. Now, of course, if you talk to Old Man Lear, it's definitely real. There's 50 different types of ETs going there. But I know where the building is. There's definitely a building there, but I don't know if aliens go in and out of it. I highly doubt it.
The office was created in 1917 by Executive Order 2729A under the Trading with the Enemy Act.
So they're considering the alien an enemy.
That's it, dude.
Not an extraterrestrial.
Right. Assume control and dispose of enemy-owned property in the United States and its possessions.
Tesla was an enemy. Interesting.
This is crazy. Well, anyone who has technology is an enemy, I guess. They can dispose of it.
Hey, my buddy Joey is working third shift tonight out in this weather, and I just want to give him a shout. That's my buddy. Joe, you ought to buy my Harley, man. Get in touch with me. I cut you a good deal on it.
I guess it took the estate of Tesla years to get these documents back from the U.S. government, and they did try, and they got it back. I guess there's a museum over there now, and they said that this is officially everything that we have and turned it over to them. But you know how that goes. I'm sure they kept whatever they wanted and they certainly copied everything and used it. But you can see some of his stuff in his museum, I guess, his paperwork, his documents, whatever's left.
No, but the Tesla Museum, I didn't even know one existed.
Yeah.
Where's this at?
Where's he from? Is it Hungary now, I think?
Yeah, he's from Hungary, yeah.
Yeah, so it's over there. I had read an article on AP News last year where there was an estate that had set up a museum for him, and they had to petition to get those documents back from the government, the U.S. government, and they finally did. They're like, oh, this is everything that we took back then. But again, like, if there was anything in there they didn't want out, we know that they kept it, So.
Man, there is a super good movie. I'm trying to think of the name of it, and it's about the current wars. I think it's called The Current Wars. If anyone has,
that is a good one. I've seen that one. It's good.
Is that what it's called? The Current Wars? Yeah, Edison. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The craziest thing about Tesla, though, is that he brought a demonstration of radar to the military and showed it to them and said, hey, I have a way we can detect ships before they even get here. And they laughed him out of the room.
Yeah, and stole his idea as soon as he left, right?
No,
they already have it.
No, they ignored it for 20 years later. It took them 20 years before they finally caught on to the.
It's funny.
Crazy stuff, man. People are just it's so clear to some people, and then to the rest of the world, it's no, this is ridiculous, and so, which is crazy. That's like Neil Tyson's view on all this stuff, and compare it to this MIT incubator labs guy who's like, no, we need to look at UFOs because it could redefine all of science and really open up new physics and new understandings of the universe to us. But
Jeremy, if you've never seen The Current War, I'll get it to you. Between Edison and Westinghouse,
I think I've seen that, man. That's the show about because he did all kinds of stuff. They electrocuted an elephant.
They electrocuted a horse. Remember, and they were trying to see.
No, they did an elephant too, man. This was the elephant.
Oh, they did? When the movie, they did a horse.
They wanted to show how dangerous,
yes,
DC was, and Edison, he electrocuted this elephant as a publicity stunt, man.
Yeah, because they were going for the death penalty, and they're like, hey, let's use electricity because it doesn't hurt. It's like, are you kidding me? Electricity doesn't hurt. And it didn't work, I don't think. The first guy they went to electrocute, it didn't kill him the whole way, and they had to hit him 2 or 3 times, and apparently his eyeballs blew out of his head and stuff. Electricity will do a lot of bad things to you. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, there's a video of them electrocuting this elephant because they wanted to show how and Edison killed it. He straight up electrocuted an elephant.
I gotta look that up. It's probably still around somewhere.
Just a big press spectacle. That's all it was a press event to sway public opinion towards AC, which was business. They were just was all money.
Yep. Terrible.
Wow, here it is in 1903. Thomas Edison electrocuting an elephant.
Yeah, you can find some news clippings from that if you look around. I think there
Oh
might be some
my
around.
God, this is the actual video. I'm not. Oh man, this is bad.
That's got to be something else.
His feet are on fire. It's real too. This isn't something that's fake. I'm gonna send it to you in the private chat, Jeremy.
Oh yeah, I got the video playing here.
It's not fake either. It's not some kind of CGI. That's definitely real.
Please,
That's
viewer
horrible.
discretion's advised if you guys don't want to see this.
No, I love elephants too. I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 4 elephants around me right now.
This is horrible. A perfectly
is.
healthy elephant. It's just,
Yeah, in the movie, I don't know why they used a horse, but it definitely was. It was probably cheaper to use a horse than an elephant. And they didn't kill the thing, but probably to control an elephant in a movie probably would have been quite difficult, especially if it had turned on the crew and stomped them all to death.
Bastards.
Oh, that's horrible. Yeah, that's terrible.
Well, remember, they were what was it, Edison? Or not Edison, the other guy, Westinghouse, he was against doing this. Well, it wasn't, it was his power that was being utilized. It was AC that was being utilized, but he was against it 100%. Maybe I have that backwards. Let me think about it.
Was this AC? Yeah, because Thomas Edison wanted DC, but DC wasn't good for long range power distribution.
Right, DC, you would have had to have lines running to each house, whereas AC, all you'd have to do is have one line running up the block.
DC is way more dangerous, too.
Yeah, DC, well, people don't realize that DC, it only takes 3,200 millivolts to just completely kill you. DC, I've been shocked with DC many times as electronics tech over the years. Definitely something I don't want to, think about. Yeah, you can burn your fingers right off, right down the bone.
Yeah. I popped myself good on a high voltage working on an old arcade video cabinet, the old tube.
Oh, they'll kill you.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I was
vacuum tubes and stuff in them.
Yeah. It knocked me flat on my can, dude. I was just down and out. And I was like, whoa, what happened? I felt like somebody hit me with a bat, it was wrong. Yeah. But scary stuff, dude.
You want to see death? I'll show you death. Take a look. See those guitar amplifiers up there? Or maybe you can't.
That'll do
those guitar amps up there with all the vacuum tubes in, they will definitely, these babies here will definitely kill you. Right there. Yep.
Family was in the Air Force, Nevada native. They used to fly stealth over the outside mountain ranges back to Nellis at night after spraying aluminum in the sky to make wispy cloud cover in the city.
Let's read that again. Wait a minute. Let me read that, Jeremy. Family was in the mountain native. Used to fly stealth from the outside of the mountain ranges back to Nellis later.
I'm not one to be, chemtrails, conspiracies and stuff, but definitely if you're going to look up Operation Popeye, if you want some, historical background on cloud seeding and, weather warfare experiments and stuff like that, because
is that the one to flood the Ho Chi Minh Trail? Is that what the Popeye is?
I think so.
Yeah, during the Vietnam War, they were flooding it out, and so they were seeding the clouds with, was it rock salt or aluminum or something like that, I think?
Yeah.
They actually started putting iodine in clouds in the 1940s.
Yes.
Is that far back?
Silver iodide.
Yeah.
Yep. And I forget exactly what the purposes were, but remember, certain iodines and stuff like that will help eliminate the effects of radiation. But it's not going to save you if a nuke goes off in your city. Sorry, I'm not sure if that's why they were doing it, but
I
guess.
I remember reading it was a press release in a small town in California that it was one of those, it was a smaller town that LA had grown around, and they had taken out the government had taken out an ad in the paper to notify the public that they were spraying something in the city, in the skies above the city to help reflect, sunlight and stuff. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? Why are they doing it in this small little town, instead of notifying everybody? It's a paper in the, I don't know, the Malibu Times and not the LA Times, but they took out their ad to notify the public. So that met some kind of legal requirement.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'd have to look into that to get the specific incident, but it does make me wonder if they're still doing it,
Yeah, I don't know. I used to see them, what looked like chemtrails being sprayed in patterns where I live all the time, and now I don't see anything like that anymore. If it was being done, I don't think it's being done anymore. What it was being done for, I just don't see how you can keep something like that a secret. I have seen planes with the big gigantic chemical tanks in, and then they spray. But you got to understand something. A lot of times, when people think they're seeing chemtrails being sprayed, a lot of times they dump gas out of these. They dump fuel. There's a lot of explanations. There's an incredible amount of explanations for why what you think is a chemtrail is there. Yeah, exactly. And Jeremy's one of the guys that enlightened me to that.
Right, because there's science to where contrails form and why they'll appear some of the time and why they won't. And I came up with this whole scheme of like, oh well, if you wanted to be like scientific about this, here's the type of data you need to collect, and here's the type of like analysis you need to do.
Yeah. Sometimes I need Jeremy to wake me up because I used to
regardless
get really
if it's
involved
contrails or chemtrails, it's still pollution.
Right.
We can still do better than this technology. This is old technology, and we can definitely do better than this crap.
I'm sure you guys do use the Flight Radar 24 to check out, different things. And I'm on there all the time. And sometimes I'll just pan all the way out just to get a good look at how many planes are out in the sky at any given time. Yeah. And it's shocking, man. You see all the travel points across Asia and across Europe and across the US and, South America. You can see where they're at, but it is amazing how many planes are in the air. And, like you add all that up, it's got to be doing something, right?
Exactly.
There's guys that monitor Area 51 all the time.
There's a difference. So like this is where you start talking about these cloud seeding technologies, which are real technologies and real things, and it gets confused with people. Oh, those you're talking about chemtrails? It's like no. Talking about real stuff, real science, not conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
So
there's got to be, contrails. You see them behind the planes, like you said, and it's all pollution. But I mean, just look at all those planes that are out there.
It's kind of, isn't it something when Leonardo DiCaprio goes over there to, I forget where they have it, somewhere in Europe, about climate change. The guy's flown a private jet over there with like him and like 4 other people on it. It's like, are you kidding me, man? You couldn't have flown coach with everybody else. People are such hypocrites.
He could have chartered an eco-friendly sailboat and taken a little time. He's got FU money. He's got the time to do that. It's not like he has to show up to punch a clock to pay his bills.
Well, that's something that's very interesting. Let me tell you something. There is no reason why we don't have electric ducted fan jets right now. No reason whatsoever. There's absolutely no reason. An airplane has plenty of space for the battery capacity, and these ducted fan engines are much cheaper to operate and run than a jet. But guess what? The amount of fuel that is spent, the amount of money that's spent on jet fuel in the oil industry would have a hissy fit. I guarantee you. Well, just look at remote control vehicles. I always go back to remote control vehicles. I've been into RC cars my entire life. Everything is going electric with them because the torque is just incredible with these electric engines. The same thing's going on with the RC planes and the RC helicopters. Everything's moving to electric, and it's just it's a certain scale of the craft itself. Whether it be 1/10 scale, 1/8, whatever. You can't tell me that you can't switch to ducted fan.
Oh yeah, if you could get the industry, like you said, but then they're gonna make the complaint that you're shutting down all of these industries and jobs and all that. If they even acknowledge it instead of just doing what they've always done,
They choose
and
to ignore, right?
yeah, or
They
buy up
choose
the
to ignore.
technology and then mothball it.
Mhm.
They've got all kinds of nasty tricks, including some that are legal and some that aren't. But
Yeah.
especially when you start talking international corporations that can move things around, it gets real tricky.
I talked to a guy the other night. He was in a chat that I was on, and a guy just absolutely blew my mind. He was talking about Elon Musk, and he was claiming that Musk has already, or someone in Musk's team has already bridged themselves through Neuralink, which is where your brain is linked into a D-Wave computer or a quantum computer, and that they can't actually go out. And this is a conspiracy. They can't actually go out and explain the new technologies they're going to come out with over the next 5 years, because this person would be so far advanced, this person would be so intelligent, that they would say, wait a minute, oh my God, there's no way that this person is actually coming up with this thoughts himself. And at first I thought the guy was a crackpot, but the more and more he talked, I was like, this actually makes sense. And they're talking about, Jeremy talked about evacuated trains 10 years ago. Jeremy, remember you were talking about evacuated tubes a
Yeah, I
long
had the
time
idea.
ago,
I had the idea
way
and
before I heard Tesla say anything about evacuated tubes. You were talking about evacuated tubes back in like 2008.
Yeah, I had
right?
found this et3.com, and I found Daryl Oster, and I had reached out to him and talked. We like the first time I called him, we sat there and like had like a 4-hour phone conversation about all this stuff, and I was just like, "This is the future, man! Like I can just see it. We're not going to be flying around. We're not going to be driving around in cars, and
Yeah.
this is going to be it, man." And
Yeah, it's brilliant. And I think the skies are going to be ruled by drones in the next 20 years.
yeah,
And those drones I don't think will be piloted. I just think that's the way it's heading. You don't have to worry about a
Yeah.
drone having to go to a
Yeah.
bathroom break or anything. I mean, there's so many advantages to having a drone up there instead of a pilot. No human error.
so yeah, Dubai's flying taxi.
This is a no joke.
Oh, no way.
Guys, courtesy of none other than Dubai's crown prince. The largest city in the United Arab Emirates was not kidding around when it proclaimed it would be the first in the world with a flying taxi service, which is why it staged this quick 5-minute liftoff with Dubai's crown prince, Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed, as the passenger in an autonomously flying drone copter made by German firm Volocopter. That company is backed by Daimler, the parent company of car maker Mercedes-Benz, so this is not exactly a Kickstarter operation. The automated vehicle is a 2-seater, 18-rotor flying vehicle which lifts and lands vertically like a helicopter. It took the city's crown prince on a 5-minute flight 200 meters above the sand. Volocopter wants to offer longer rides that last up to 30 minutes and will be hailed through an app just like a rideshare car trip. It also comes with parachutes inside for ease of mind more than anything. The flight is all based on GPS tracks for now, but the Volocopter chief says that will all be updated in the future. But let's be real. With competitors like aerospace bigwig Airbus, Kitty Hawk, which is backed by Google co-founder Larry Page, and of course Uber, in addition to a handful of other realistic competitors, this is just beginning, guys. Those competitors better get to it, though. Volocopter says it expects to be truly casually operational in Dubai within 5 years. That's because it takes a lot.
Well, it's got a parachute in it. You can parachute out, but the 12 rotor systems, it's really set up for redundancy. So like it doesn't need all those to fly. It only needs like half of them. But it's just made so that if any one goes out or anything happens to any one of those rotors, you're backed up by like many, many more. So there's a lot of interesting, thought that went into this and making it like safe, but they're here. It's here, guys. We got to have drone taxis flying people around. But yeah, I had talked to Daryl Oster. I got to get Daryl back on the show. he'd be a great guest to have on. I got to start lining up some new guests. I'm going to be on another podcast tomorrow night around 7 p.m. I'll send links to that on Twitter and in the, I'll send links out to that when that happens. But yeah, these evacuated tubes, this whole idea was this big high-speed like connector line that linked everywhere in the world, and then all these other like small lines to link population centers, and this would reduce the need for a lot of the air traffic, and it would be faster than air travel. The speed, because the speeds you can go through this thing are just incredible. But again, it's very, depressurization in a vacuum is a dangerous thing, and there's a lot of safety concerns about, engineering concerns about actually building it.
I think they were talking about a tube within a tube, right? I mean, that's basically the safety measure itself.
Thunderfoot has a whole video on Hyperloop.
If you kept that for product transport and things like that, it wouldn't be such a safety issue because you wouldn't have people in it. You're just transporting goods around, and at least that could be a start until you nailed down the safety element for, human transportation. But I mean, those tubes are basically the things that we saw in the bank as a kid, right? Where they stick that cartridge in the thing and it shoots it up to the mail room or the check
bank
room.
teller.
Yeah, right.
There's a difference between pneumatic tubes and evacuated tubes, and that's a clear thing. So a pneumatic
There's zero
tube,
air or zero pressure, right?
Right. You're talking a complete
pressure
vacuum,
differential.
right? Yeah.
The evacuated tube is complete vacuum, so it's meant to have zero air resistance. So it's just like floats in the middle, and you can just send it through at like super high speed. Whereas the pneumatic tube is like actually pumped, and it has like high pressure behind you and low pressure in front of you, so it propels you through the tube with pressure.
Right.
I remember, man, you were hammering about this at least 10 years ago. I'm going to say it was at least that long ago. And I always thought it was an incredible idea. You had drawings. You were the first guy to talk about evacuated tubes that I remember. I had never heard of such a thing. I thought it was brilliant. And now Musk is stealing your idea, that bastard.
Well, I think Hyperloop is like a hybrid kind of thing. It's not like an evacuated tube. It's more like a pneumatic tube system.
Mm.
But yeah, you got to check out the Hyperloop Busted video.
In this chapter, we'll take a look at the Hyperloop, the brand new method of transport brought forth by the entrepreneur and billionaire Elon Musk.
But it would be for a fifth mode of transports. I have a name for it, which is called the Hyperloop.
The Hyperloop?
Hyperloop, yeah.
The system is proposed to travel at an average...
It's the Hyperloop, man. Elon Musk, that bastard. Yeah, so this is the video right here where you guys can go and watch that. I'm not going to play it all here and go over it, but
I want to see this. How long
it's definitely it's a half hour, so you guys can check it out.
I'll watch it later.
Watch it later and check that out. I'll share it. I'm going to share it on Twitter too, so that people have
Jeremy, what speeds are we talking? 1,000 miles an hour or more?
Well, that's the thing is that it's like probably what is a Hyperloop can go to like 3,500 kilometers.
I'd seen him. His wife had brought up to him, when he was married, or whoever his girlfriend or whatever was saying about what about a earthquake. And,
the evacuated tube could go much faster, but what about earthquakes, dude? Yeah,
and they have all kinds of different measures involved to counter an earthquake, but there's only certain places where you have to worry about earthquakes. California.
San Andreas Fault.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of places in the Southwest that are just prone to earthquakes. And Jeremy, what do you think about the theory that all the oil that's been yanked out of a lot of these places in the desert is where the most earthquakes are? What do you think about that? You think that's the cause of a lot of these earthquakes? I mean, it sounds plausible. You take all this fluid out of the earth.
It might be the
lubricant theory or whatever.
Yes.
Oh,
Exactly. What
I was
do
gonna say, it
you
might be the
guys think?
method they're using, like the fracking, as opposed to just pumping it out.
Oh God, fracking is just destroying where I live. Yeah.
Yeah, the fracking is definitely causing mini quakes and stuff.
Oh
It's
God.
it's
Yeah.
changing the geology deep underground.
And it's all about money. No one cares. I mean, people care that live there. I mean, it's just unbelievable that goes on. And after those videos that came out, you would think that something would have happened. From what I understand, nothing has happened at all. And if anything did happen, it's far too late. It's I mean, when you turn on your house water tap and you smell gas, there's gas coming out of it. You stick a lighter up to it, and gas comes flying out. That's not good at all.
Not good.
But you know, that's what's funny about the rabbit hole. We could take this rabbit hole 1,000 different ways at any time.
Well, it's all about understanding humanity's place and presence and the bigger picture and starting to realize, think globally about what we're doing and our impact. Because really, at the end of the day, we're just like, all right, well, we just want cheaper gas for our, this is natural gas and oil, so we want cheaper energy.
Speaking of gas, anybody been affected by the hack, the gas hack yet?
Yeah, it's
Anybody at
definitely
all?
up here in Oregon. The prices are up, but fortunately for me, my car got stolen last night, so I don't have to worry about it.
What? Your car
Really?
got stolen?
Yeah.
Dude.
So I'm just trying to find the good side. I'm like, well, at least I don't have to worry about the whole Continental Oil hack. Like I'm fine. I don't have a tank. I don't have a tank to fill for a few days.
Wow.
So
I hope they find your car.
Let's look at some of the human stupidity that's been going on. So these people went and bought like a whole bunch of gas tanks, and they went and just filled it all up with gas.
Yeah, why?
Because it fears the gas shortage. So their fears of the gas shortage are creating a gas shortage. You see all these people
like the toilet paper. Oh no,
Yeah.
I can see it right now. This is nothing. This is going to be the
Oh,
same
this
as
is
the
nothing.
toilet paper shortage.
Wow, where did that happen?
That's
the same as the
awesome.
run on toilet paper, right? It's like the gas. It's like you haven't seen lines for the gas pump like this since Carter's administration.
79. I was in a newscast about that. I was just a little kid. I was like 7 years old when that happened. Yep.
Well, look at these people. Like they're not properly sealing the containers, and they're filling tons of them up in their vehicles, and then all it takes is a little spark. Once you get that right fuel air mixture, and gasoline becomes explosive.
Holy shit.
What's the energy content in 1 gallon of gasoline is equal to about, I think, 20 sticks of dynamite.
Well, the vapor and the contained space in the car too, that's just a recipe for disaster. You're making a bomb. I mean, now, isn't there some kind of federal law that prevents you from stockpiling gasoline as well? Like over, I want to say like a certain amount if you're not agriculturally exempt. And why can't people do that? Go basically buy their own private gas station, like say an HOA or something, and fill up the tank. It seems kind of
depending on your flash rating, depending on the danger rating and stuff like that. You've got to, if you're carrying around like a 55-gallon drum of let's say fuel, like methylethyl ketone or something like that, it's got to be grounded, labeled, all that stuff. Gas is the same way. You can't just carry around 55-gallon drums of gas, and I can tell you this right now, you can't go to a gas station, I don't think, and fill one of those up either. That's not the way. Nope. You got to go to a specific station that's just designed for that.
You see the people filling bags of gas, right?
Oh, yes. Some woman filled a garbage bag up with gas. I'm like, what on earth?
That's insane, man.
Years ago, there were so many regulations. Oh, my gosh. Are you kidding me?
You see that?
Oh, my gosh, man.
Can you imagine the stupidity? It would probably.
Don't tell me there's kid car seats in the back, right?
Oh yeah, a bunch of kids in the back.
Oh my gosh, what an idiot! Oh my god!
Oh my!
Holy shit! Just fill your tank up, lady, and just hope that in a week everything should be back to normal. I could be wrong. Look at Texas. Texas was frozen for what, a month?
How does she think she's going to get it out of the bags and into her tank? I'm just kind of
She has no clue.
Yeah, like-
That's what's great.
Eat through the plastic too, like people
Yeah,
were
I
saying, you know, like
I think it
oh,
might.
I double bagged it, you know.
Imagine she does this during the day while her husband's at work, right? Because I know this is the lady I saw filling him up earlier. She does this, and her husband comes in, and she's like, "Look, you know," she thinks she outsmarted the world, and shows him the whole back of the vehicle is just filled with garbage bags with gas.
And then they all eat through, and it starts leaking all the inside.
Oh man, the car's destroyed. You know, what a dummy. I wanted to say something else, but oh my gosh. Yeah, the amount of stupidity that's out there is just incredible. There's got to be something going on neurologically with people, you know. I'm not going to say what all I think, but people have just completely lost their minds at this point. That's nuts.
7 billion people now, man. It's all just a numbers game, you know. You're going to see a lot more and more of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you better go get that shot tomorrow. You better go get one. I'm telling you, man, you better go get it. No, that's not me talking, but people that call me.
This is great.
Better go get it. Well, they still have them. They're free right now, you know. Yeah, sure they are.
Oh, yeah. That's friggin' brilliant.
Oh, my, bro. All I want to do is take a ride in the TR3B, Jeremy. Jeremy, when the TR3B shows up at my house, bro, guess where I'm coming? I'm coming to pick you up, man. Okay? You understand me? I've always promised you that, man, that you're going to be the first person that goes for a ride.
I'm down. Let's go.
We have been down with that thing for so long that we're the first damn ride. I don't care who out there gets it.
Yeah, when it comes out, man,
we're owed. Yeah, we're owed. Whoever the president is at the time, they need to. Wouldn't that be funny if they announced our names and said we're going to be inviting, you know, the alien scientists and the solar one to go for a ride in the TR3B flying triangle?
Oh, it's from 2019. It's old. It's not recent, but still.
Oh, somebody. Well, what was the problem back then? Another shortage, or
yeah?
What do we got going on? Or was that like beer in there, just made it look like gas?
It was urine samples.
It was from the Bin Laden family when they went to try and get urine samples from them when they were hiding out in Abbottabad, which is a really bizarre story in itself. I don't know why I brought that up, but
I was going off on Twitter. There was a million people tweeting because CIA made a tweet about the Bin Laden thing on May Day. That was the anniversary of that. You know,
May 11th, right? Or May
1st.
Okay.
And May 1st is always the day that they use to, do propaganda. That was, like the mission accomplished thing where Bush landed that plane on the aircraft carrier and in Iraq.
I don't believe Bush could ever land a plane in a field, much left an aircraft carrier.
I remember that.
I remember when the Bin Laden raid took place, and I remember you did a video about a week later, and you're like, how can anybody believe this crap?
There's no evidence, and there's a whole bunch of people pointing it out on the CIA site, too. Like,
it is strange. It's extremely strange, and
there's a few red flags with that whole story. The burial at sea, the strange, no direct footage. They supposedly have some DNA, but they don't, or do they?
They supposedly have tons of DNA. From what I was told, the problem was Bin Laden was shot. He was double tapped in the face with an M4, I believe it was. Whatever it was, blew his face just completely. They didn't know who the hell they shot.
Yeah, we won't be showing pictures of that.
Apparently his head exploded.
It's almost like he was executed and not.
Yeah,
like
but the pictures of it are Photoshop. There's no pictures of it. So
we have no proof that any real or there's been no footage shown or no pictures shown that would convince me so far that it was him. But I'm not saying it wasn't him, but I'm just saying that whoever that guy was that was shot in there, his head was just completely blown to smithereens. I mean, it was they shouldn't have killed the guy. They should have captured him. But then what do you do with him? I seen the counter op to it. It's like, what do you do with this guy? Let's
I don't
say
think
you
they could
have
let
him.
him talk. He had a long history with our government and, with Bush Senior and stuff going back to
Tim
Afghanistan.
Osman.
Everyone remembers
yeah.
about the Budo video where she said that Bin Laden was already like killed.
Oh yeah,
And
this lady
you
here.
can't
Yeah, they
find the
killed
video.
her too.
And then
Remember?
they killed her, and they changed the audio on all these videos too, so they make them unwatchable, and they edited that part out.
Yeah, really interesting. She's like, they killed Osama bin Laden. It's the way she says it. I haven't heard this in a while. Oh, it's 14 minutes. I wanted to hear it.
Yeah, I can't find it now. They edited that part out too. It's weird.
The top comment on that video says that they muted it out. Look at that, the very top comment.
Does it?
Wow.
Yeah, YouTube muted that part out, and then they shifted the whole audio tracks like shifted. So it's like, see, it's like no, something's messed. It's all messed up now. But yeah, that was another thing that and then what was the other thing about kidney dialysis, right? Wasn't he on?
Yeah, that would have been the absolute easiest way to find him. And
that's what they always said, right?
For some reason, he had kidney failure. For some reason.
But that he was rich enough to afford dialysis in the caves, that he could find machinery and medical equipment to do that.
Well, that's the whole thing. The whole cave story was all bullcrap. He was never in Tora Bora. That was all BS. In 2007, they had claimed they almost killed him. He was never up in there.
All right, so we're getting into this. I want to talk. I remember how I mentioned the bait and switch operation in my last video and Jeremy Corbell and everything, and I talked about bait and switch, and I talked about how George Bush had, quit the national, had gone and skipped out the National Guard and flown to Colombia, and come back with a flight of cocaine and all that. Yeah. That was the real reason why he left the National Guard, and there was this whole story to it. Yeah. Well, the guy that was with him, I never mentioned who the guy that was with him and his name, and his buddy from the National Guard over at the Texas Air National Guard was a guy named James R. Bath.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of this guy before?
Yeah, that's funny.
I haven't heard of him.
Well, he's a Texas businessman whose interest is in aircraft sales, leasing, and real estate. And his best-known clients are his relationship with Saudi businessmen Salem bin Laden and Khalid bin Mahfouz, which is the money man for the Saudi royal family.
No shit.
And he was just so happened to be George Bush's flight buddy at the Texas Air National Guard in the early 70s. So basically, he met Bush through the Air National Guard. They said, listen, we need a middleman or a liaison to deal with the Saudis, and we'll hook you up with these connections, and you got to be like like this disconnected connection of ours. And it was apparently this big Bush family connection. It was pointed out in Russ Baker's book Family of Secrets. That's how I learned about it. Well, and just through my 9/11 research too, I think I came across this whole the airline business, and that was like it's a CIA front, running aircraft sales, and they were like drug planes that they were selling. They would buy planes, they would outfit them for drug trafficking, and then resell them to drug traffickers.
Wow.
And
so Bush was running cocaine then into what state was he? Was he like flying it in from South America, literally out of Colombia?
That's the rumor. That's the rumor that I heard. That
may have been what gave Barry Seal a pass, man. Because Barry Seal would have been running the same time. Barry Seal's story really has blown up over the past 3-4 years because of the movie. Which Tom Cruise played.
And the Narcos with all the story about the Colombian stuff, but the people haven't made the full connection to that whole HRG group and Zapata Oil, which had it. I mentioned their headquarters for Zapata offshore was in Medellin, Colombia.
Mm-hmm. Medellin.
Yeah, that's not sketchy.
Wow. Well, you got to, that's one thing that always makes me wonder about all this cryptocurrency stuff. How is the CIA going to operate with cryptocurrency? Sure, they can do it, but there's going to be a lot of changes. It's going to change the whole outlook of how they do business and stuff like that. I can't see us going away from a cash society. I just can't see it happening, especially when you have these people involved, and that's how they operate, right?
Right.
How? There'd have to be some type of, there's got to be a global change. And this guy, Klaus Schwab, man, he is just, is it Klaus Schwab or am I getting
so there's this whole thing of cryptocurrency I wanted to talk about. Do you think that crypto will take over for, banking? And then there's this whole argument of crypto versus banking. And people are saying, oh, well, crypto is so bad because of the carbon footprint, but but what about the carbon footprint of, Bank of America, for all the employees that have to go to
Hell
work?
Yeah.
And the people have to drive there and then sit at the ATM. And how do you measure the carbon footprint of these buildings? Like when you can do everything on computers now,
Yeah, and they're looking at all the people now that they've sent home that work from home, and it's saving on the carbon footprint. And there's so many benefits. These people working out of their houses now. Things have changed. This COVID-19, whatever you want to call it, has changed America. I mean, there's so many people I know that are like, oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't quit my job because now I get to work from home, which is my dream. And it's like, yeah, I understand, you lucky bastard, but it's people are not even, you don't even have to report to work anymore. There is no such thing as being late to work anymore. I mean, it's crazy, right? It's just crazy to think that this is what's going on, that people don't have to report to work anymore. You can't be late. It's just things I never ever would have thought this would be what the byproduct was, I guess, of what happened. But remember, COVID by any means is not going, or whatever you want to call it, COVID. It's not gone. But the fact of the matter is, you can still get it when you work at home. That's what's kind of ridiculous about it. But I think what's going on is companies do not want to be sued. If you can prove you contracted COVID from a coworker, you can sue the hell out of them if you die from it. Your family can. They can sue. That's part of the game. But this is some kind of global thing going on, man, and it's
I don't want to
scary.
talk about it too much, man.
No, I don't either. We'll get shut down. Yeah.
In fact, you can't question official science and dogma, man. It's not allowed.
Well, technically, we haven't questioned anything. We're just kind of, throwing some.
Listen, science is true whether you believe in it or not.
Yeah. And you are, guess what, man? The alien scientist. You should know what's going on, bro.
I don't claim I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a practicing physician, and I encourage people to listen to their own medical professionals that they trust. And if you trust someone with your health, then I would listen to that person over people on the internet, because sometimes I wonder if I'm a Russian bot.
I've wondered that. You and me have a good friend that we wonder if he's a robot. I'm not going to mention any names, but we have a friend that I just wonder if he's a hybrid or something. And I'm not bullshitting you at all. Oh yeah.
Well,
oh yeah.
We're generally a group of people that question things in science and have go against the main. It's like we're going against the mainstream because the mainstream has let us down in so many ways, and we've seen how that groupthink mentality is so dangerous and so bad for progress and scientific thinking. And I don't know. It's just I want to encourage people to keep that mentality up and questioning.
Sure,
we should be allowed to question mainstream science, and it should be about the best arguments and the best logic and the best
But unfortunately, that gets people kicked off of YouTube and other platforms in this day and age. It's the way they've gone about it is there's no they don't a reason doesn't even need to be provided anymore, which is I don't know.
Yeah, you're at the beck and call of the terms of service, which means they can do whatever they want. And if you don't like it, you can go to a competitor, and that really sucks. Like a lot of corporations are taking that tone, though. It's not just YouTube. There was a thing in the rideshare industry between Lyft and Uber doing the same thing to their drivers. Other companies are doing the same thing. That's just kind of the capitalism game getting its dirty hands involved in all this, and people shutting off their brains because there's money involved.
It comes down to that argument that Trump was bringing up too, towards like the Twitter bans, about the Twitter ban and everything. Is should these media companies be given editorial, oversight,
Yeah, and they've kind of haven't they always though? I mean, the media has always really been in control of what they want. Disney can spin and say that the latest Tinkerbell movie is the biggest blockbuster hit because these 3 critics who they own say it, like they can kind of do that anyways, they just kind of do it and hide behind the money, so I don't know, like at least now they're being, I don't know, they're being called on it. People are looking at it because they had to censor politicians and important people, but they've been doing that to us for years. The same thing. What's that?
I would just wanted to say one thing before getting off to before leaving the topic of the Saudis and whatnot was Jeremy, you brought up the connection with bin Laden, how he's grouped with his father, and his father is the bin Laden family, and they're the largest construction family. Just a real quick thing that I don't think most people know about the Khashoggi incident with him. How they made a big deal about that. He was just a journalist, and that he went into the Saudi embassy in Turkey, and they took him out. Well, if you dig into his past a little bit, turns out his uncle was the largest arms dealer to Saudi Arabia, has connections with Lockheed Martin and a few other the biggest contractors around. And it gets a little bit funnier too, is that his cousin is Dodi Al Fayed, the guy that was seeing Princess Diana at the time that she died. So there you go, just another, connection that I'm not sure everybody out there knows about.
Well, now it's connected to the royal family in London too. So this goes deep. I wonder what he knew. I wonder what he knew and what he threatened to say or what happened. But that whole thing, like that, they killed him inside that embassy and covered it up and repainted the whole thing. And
can you guys hear me all right? By the way,
yeah,
I can hear you fine. Another thing about the Saudi bin Laden group is that they got all the contracts to rebuild the Middle East after the U.S. destroyed most of it, and they built all the oil, all the oil fields and all that other stuff too. So they benefited massively from the war on terror.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it just seems, from my perspective, it seems like, it seems pretty clear that bin Laden is just part of the intelligence apparatus of Saudi Arabia. And and Khashoggi seems to also be part of that, and he's just clearly attached to one of the factions that whatever his name, what is it, MBD or what, MBS? I'm sorry, MBS.
Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince, right?
Right, yeah, MBS, since he's been trying to basically smooth out his ascent to power there, he's clearing out any of the people within the regime there that don't want him. So it's just basic infighting within the regime. So he's clearing out any of the people that can basically stop him or put up resistance for him at least. So I believe Khashoggi is connected to a network that he doesn't like within the House of Saud, as they call it. Because if you look, there's like hundreds of princes. Well, it's crazy. It's crazy how big the royal family is there.
And how much control they have over a lot of other platforms and stuff too. Because
right.
But 15 of the 19 hijackers of the 9/11 attacks were Saudis, and
Yep.
you know, there's still big gaps. So that 28 pages that came out of the redacted stuff in the commission about, you know, where the funding came from for all that is still
Yep, exactly.
still quite a rabbit hole that has yet to been fully like picked apart by as far as I'm concerned in the mainstream media. I know that there's been, remember, I don't know, did you guys see Venice Flying Circus? It was Daniel Hopsicker, and he did a whole investigation into the CIA in apparently they did like there was Barnum and Bailey Circus, right? That was their winter home.
Yeah,
Right.
I really want to see it.
In Florida, right? And it's in.
Yeah.
So where's their? So the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus, and it's in.
They're in Palm Beach, the training area where they.
Ellington.
I think or where's it? I know it's on the west side. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this was near. So I'm trying to figure all this this geography out. But there's Embry-Riddle, right? Embry-Riddle is in Daytona Beach, I think, right? So
Daytona's on the other side.
Daytona's on the other side.
Yeah.
I just want to get like.
I might go back down there real soon.
I want to get these places figured out. Yeah, I would love to go with you. Daytona. I had a lot of fun.
Dude, man. Yeah, listen, I got a place down there, bro. It's awesome. Right in the beach. You'd love it. There's tons of bars, man. It's just incredible.
But, there's another one over here. Huh, that's interesting. There's another Embry-Riddle over here. I wonder if that's the one where the hijackers went to, because the hijackers were taking college courses, and they were living in Florida and taking college courses at Embry-Riddle.
Well, let's start searching everybody. Let's find out where these bastards went to school at.
Then there was this whole.
Although I don't look at shit like up.
The Saudis at that what was this? So there was this whole Saudi cover-up of Saudi connections in Florida that were connected to the hijackers too. That were these rich people that fled right after 9/11 and went back.
Right,
they left their whole apartment.
Yeah. Right. They were probably most likely either the people that were housing them at the time, or at least putting out the money for them, you know, so that there wasn't a paper trail directly.
Yes.
Were these the ones who were flown out like that same day or the day after? There was a large number of Saudi citizens who were allowed they were given political visas or something to leave the
but
country.
that was Bin Laden's brother who was meeting with
amongst other people too.
Carlisle group.
Yeah, exactly. They had a Carlisle group that day, actually, I believe, right? And then they flew out either the day after or that later that afternoon, and they were one of the only flights, I believe, that were permitted to leave the country or even fly at that time.
Yep, exactly. But apparently the back to the point about the Barnum and Bailey Circus, they had a winter home there in Ellington, Florida, right near here, and this is where the CIA would send they'd send certain agents there for flight training. They'd go get flight training at this one school that was run by Rudy Deckers.
Okay.
There. So Rudy Deckers ran this Huffman Aviation, right? It was in Venice, Florida, at the Venice Municipal Airport. And this whole thing, he trained a lot of he trained these pilots there, but it was also connected to this whole like CIA run thing, like that was operating out of these areas in Florida. So they are connected to Embry-Riddle with flight training there, Venice, Florida. Where's Venice, anyways?
Yeah, where is Venice? I was going to ask. I'm on the map right now. Is it on the
South,
east or west
right
coast?
down. Yeah, it's right down here, a little bit south of so
It's on the west side.
Sarasota.
Oh, it's right by
That's
there.
where
Okay.
So Sarasota was, I guess there was an air station here too. That's where Muhammad Atta listed his address at. Was Sarasota.
Right. Yeah, because there's a bunch of naval stations all on that coast right there.
Right.
Navy and Air Force, stations all along.
Interesting stuff. So they were operating out of this, but they used to send the CIA agents to the Barnum and Bailey Circus to learn sleight of hand from the magicians there.
Oh, okay. Get some tradecraft going. Okay.
Get some tradecraft going, so they could learn how to, steal documents and steal papers and do card tricks and that kind of stuff. All the little tricks of sleight of hand and tricking the eye.
Right. Yeah, I find it really funny how most people think CIA trains people with all this crazy stuff, when most of the techniques and stuff like that are actually public knowledge. It's just like this type of stuff where it's magician tricks and all these other basic things that you wouldn't think are quote unquote tradecraft, but that's exactly what it is. And just other psychological techniques and how to speak to people, etc., etc.
Right. I read a lot of it. It's in just get CIA diary and read the first chapter, because the first chapter goes into all his CIA training. He talks about the dark arts, and also in, I think it's Operation Dark Art. Yeah, he talks about it. He talks about his training too in Operation Dark Heart, in the first part of the book too. And Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Schaefer. That'd be a cool guy to get on for an interview, man. But he does
I've seen him already. There's a few people we can get on here. You know who I want to get on here, Jeremy? And a thumbs up out there if you want to see him, Colonel John Alexander. Anybody want to see him? Anybody know who John Alexander is? I think
I'd love to pick his brain, but I think a lot of
I can get him. I can get him, man.
Yeah, huh?
I can get him, yeah.
That'd be fun.
Absolutely, man. Him and Ed were buddies,
Yeah, huh? He was buddies.
Yeah.
I'd love to pick his brain on a lot of different stuff. That would be cool.
Darn right. And he's more on our side than you know. So, and that's kind of how he rolls. He likes to, go with the similar type of people.
But yeah, the whole idea of this CIA training and spycraft and stuff, it's really just about, I don't know, it's more about the identification of targets and then understanding con men tactics. They study what con men do,
yeah,
exactly.
The psychology of the grift,
right,
trying to sell someone
yeah.
or pitch an agenda or manipulate people. It's all the same thing. I talked a little bit about it specifically with Elizondo because I feel like he fits that category, but and then he's got these other players that he contacts like DeLong or Corbell or people like that, and then puts them into play too because they think that they're working for something better, but
right. A lot of people are just useful idiots to the CIA rather than actual spies per se that they know they're working for the CIA. Most people out there are just true believers in some sort of ideology. The CIA,
right.
The agents go out there, they spot those types of people, and they're
that's the
perfect.
thing. One of the things that Philip Agee clarifies in his book is the difference between in terminology in the CIA and what is meant by an agent and what is meant by a case officer.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
so,
or an asset,
so most people think of, you're a CIA agent. And the thing is that most CIA agents don't know that they're CIA agents.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Okay.
interesting.
Yep.
What
Yep.
people think, everyone says, "Oh, this guy's a CIA agent." No, you mean a case officer?
Sorry,
You mean someone
right.
who manages a bunch of agents, the guy who's the puppet master who's pulling all these people's strings? No,
Right.
you'd never
And
know
that-
who the case officer is, and you don't know
Well,
who you don't.
and that's where then you take the next distinction, or drawing the next distinction is between an actual agent and then a useful idiot, where an agent is generally somebody who actually is like going to, spy on their government and do things knowingly that this person, they might not know that the case officer is CIA directly, because generally they won't say, but generally it's understood like, okay, this guy works for the US government and I'm going to spy on my government to, obtain information for him or her. And useful idiots are completely unbeknownst to them, just, going along with the show, thinking that this guy is their friend and they're going to just do whatever, they're buddies and that's it. And because of
Right.
because of what they believe, like look at Tom DeLonge, right? He was the perfect type of guy. They're like, okay, we need, somebody that has a huge fan base, and we're gonna give him, all these military guys, and we're gonna feed him the information to disseminate out there.
Yeah.
Well,
And he's-
something
Tom
new
DeLonge
for you a month. They have something
He's
going.
become a perfect.
Remember when he came out and he was like on Joe Rogan? That Rogan interview is gone now. I wish I had like recorded the whole thing. I have
Get
parts
outta
of
here.
it recorded.
It's really gone.
Yeah, the interview that he did with Joe Rogan. Because remember when in it, it was some really key parts of that I wanted to clip up and put in context now that it's been a couple of years. Because he was like saying, he's like, they identified me because I was just so good at researching this stuff. Remember he said that?
Right. Yep.
Oh, it had nothing to do with the leaked Podesta email where he's just like, show me a UFO and I'll do whatever you want. Show me some footage and I'll do whatever you want. Like, we all knew back then when that came out that, anybody was going to get a hold of him. It was just a matter of who. It was just a matter of time till somebody did. He might as well have just put a big target right on his forehead that said, manipulate me. Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think there's other people out there like that who are in that same boat, though. You got to watch out for them too, because there's other people like Jeremy Corbell who are just right on that same bandwagon, who will say, I'll do whatever you want. Just give me a whiff of a UFO. Just give me a scent of something official,
Yep.
Right,
Yeah. He strikes me as a useful idiot more than he is an actual knowing player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's an agent in the proper sense of the term. If you
The thing with the CIA too, though, is they're supposed to be prohibited by their charter from operating domestically and on the American citizens. They're supposed to be a foreign surveillance agency. Does that mean that they don't?
Well, no. What they can do is that just by like magic wand, sometimes they might have officers that are like, they might liaison with NSA, so that then when they're working on U.S. soils, they become NSA agents, and then when they go overseas, they're back to CIA. So, like, some people do go back and forth between both departments. Like, there's a lot more fluidity between the interagency, the intelligence agencies inside of them.
Yeah, I figured there would be, and there's always some kind of loophole that they have behind the scenes to just do what they kind of want to, anyways.
Well, perfect example is special forces, right? So they'll go to SOF or JSOC and say, okay, we need a Delta attachment or a Navy SEAL detachment, and now they're going to be CIA, and it's just like with the magic wand of the government. Now they are civilian for X amount of time in between these dates. They are officially civilian now, and they can work under civilian parameters, aka this CIA guidelines, and they are no longer the military. Obviously, generally those guys get secret covers and all that stuff, but it's the same type of legal magic wanding they do, or whatever you want to call it. There's proper technical terms they use, but yeah.
Yeah, they just say it is a certain way, and then it becomes that way because they said so.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Because at the end
and
of the day,
also the branding of the terminology, the language too, like calling everything that you know, basically this branding of science as being what the mainstream says and what the, you know, like the authority is, and this appeal to authority position on science, and the rebranding of, you know, anything that questions the mainstream established science is a conspiracy theory.
Right. Yeah, they're the guys who even created the word in the first place. You know, it's for that exact reason, to, you know, discredit anybody that comes up against the establishment. Can't have that, according to them, you know.
Yeah, it's nice to have an argument out there before people even come up to question you. You know, you've already got a rebuttal in place. You know, they kind of, I use the Roswell example all the time, where with the Roswell report, where they're like, oh, is, you know, Project Mogul, you know, here's 1,000 pages on Mogul. But when you really dive into it, you're like, there's nothing in here that directly states that was what came down that day. You know, ultimately it comes down to them saying, take our word for it, and then they bury us with a bunch of other stuff, you know, and then point to that when you question it. And I kind of talked about that in that. Oh, go ahead, man.
Thanks. I was just going to say real quick, is they have the dialectic completed beforehand. They have, you know, they have the general argument that they're going to give. They have all the counter arguments and what's accredited to be a counter argument. And then anything outside of those parameters is just considered heresy, essentially, like, you know, a conspiracy theory, right? So they have that even covered, and that's it. So, you know, it kind of gives the margins for, you know, the general public to fall in line to all beforehand, as far as you know, how they're going to think.
And it lets them control the narrative too, because they're basically getting the first official record, and now everything else to that is a question, you know. And it doesn't hurt when they've got somebody like Elizondo who comes out to parrot their stories and gets on every single live stream that he can get his mitts onto, from Tucker Carlson all the way down to a guy who's got 300, you know, subscribers and 12 viewers, you know, like he's out there selling it and just flooding the record with that story. So people who question it are then a minority, you know, because we're only one or two people who might be going on it, but we're not, you know, it's not my full-time job to make 100 different episodes or appearances a day trying to refute this evidence. You know, he's selling a story and he's getting his record out, or his version of the truth out there. And he's done a good job at it, unfortunately. You know, like you can't get away from the guy nowadays, even though he should be going home. His mission's done, you know, but I don't know. What do you guys think about Elizondo? Am I wrong there? Is the guy legit? Like, I think he's just a crazy spy, man, or on the job or something. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think because what department was he for? DOD beforehand, right? He worked for
Air Force
DOD
Intelligence, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Defense
he's
Intelligence Agency and counterintelligence. And
I don't think he's ever said what he did before ATIP, or if he has, I don't think it's been publicly, you know, talked about, but you know, he's some kind of an intelligence agent, you know.
Yeah, and he falls right into the typical intelligence line, like you're saying.
I think all the people that are connected to ATIP and OSAP, it's kind of like what I look at it is they're just trying to cover a lot of the other programs and make it all trace back to their stuff that they created, this whole jumble with Bigelow. And because Bigelow Aerospace, I think, you know, you look at Bob Bigelow, right? And
that's where the money went through ATIP. I mean, I get that he was the player to research stuff and whatever, right? He got all that. He did all that scientific research for him, supposedly. But what did it yield?
And I also think the fact that he's been putting out the main message as, oh, well, it definitely isn't human technology. It's you know, this is definitely aliens now. It is just a dead giveaway that, like, this is the U.S. basically fronting to all the other nations out there, like, hey, look, we got some new toys that nobody has right now, and this is how, like, you know, this is how you would give a public statement, essentially, to that accreditation, at least, right? You're like, think about it. If you're the U.S. government and you want to, you know, flash your new toys and your new technology, you know, your new military technology, without giving it away, how do you do that publicly? To me, that's what this kind of, you know, smells like.
What do we do with the atomic weapon? We drop them on an enemy to show another enemy that we have them. You know, like that's kind of how they do it.
Well, that was
was
because, you know, we were in war and all that. But like, you know, think about it in you know,
do you really
quote
think
unquote,
that
peaceful
they
time.
don't know what these things are? That's the question: is does our military
I
really
they have
not
to.
know what these things are, or
They
do
have to.
Well, the majority don't know. I mean, the majority of members in the military have no fucking clue what's going on, for sure. But yeah, there's definitely, like, you know, the upper elite and the people that are read in on the programs, and the people, you know, to me, you know, my opinion is
I
that
bet you
it's
there's
our
a few guys at Lockheed that know what it is too, or at, you know, Boeing and different companies like that. They probably know more than the lifelong. But the lifelong brass, that's the one you got to look at the Pentagon, not the ones that change every few years. It's the ones who have been there for 30, 40 years. Those are the ones who might know, you know.
Yeah,
but only a few of them, right?
Right. In my opinion, this is just special access programs, and, you know, we can debate about exactly, you know, what technology this is all night long. But, you know, I don't think it's as much as I would like it to be something super revolutionary. I'm kind of leaning towards, you know, I kind of lean more toward being conservative, and I think it's definitely something, you know, wild and new, but it's not like, you know, what everybody wants it to be, let's say.
I just look at the core players in this, and I feel like they're trying to bring these metals out. They're trying to bring some of that technology out, because Bigelow obviously did some research into that and had some, you know, stuff that they went through.
Yeah,
they've got a glimpse of it, so they're trying to bring it out to the public in a safe, like, you know, blow the lid off this in a safe and friendly way.
Who, Bigelow is?
I just feel like that's who I feel like that's going on. I feel Bigelow is definitely one of the people that want this out. You know, he's trying to get information out. He's put, you know, he's planting all these little seeds in the public mind. You know.
You think it's for altruistic reasons, though, or is it part of? Is he being manipulated by somebody else?
Right. I'm not sure if he's like working with Knapp to like sell UFO stories and help cover it up for the, you know, working as a contractor to help cover it up for the government. You know, he did have that spout with the NASA, and then, you know, closed down Bigelow Aerospace, you know, last year during COVID, you know. So it's hard to say what's going on with him completely, and the fact that he gives these scripted interviews to George Knapp and is not really open to the public is just, you know, it's frustrating.
That's the thing, though, going to George Knapp and everything, you know, it's just another.
And he was on Rogan, you know, but Rogan's just as bad now.
Well, yeah, Rogan, but Rogan's never been good per se, really. Like, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, let's just say. You know, he has no fucking idea about the technology.
He was much better on Joe Rogan questions everything, but still he just took like every expert's word for it and didn't like get enough differing opinions and didn't really dive into the subject.
Yeah, and he doesn't have the background already with what, you know, what currently exists even. Like, he doesn't know anything about, you know, ECMs or even ECCM and all that. So it's, you know, it's kind of a problem.
I know. I can't even imagine what I'd get into if I were to go on his show, man. It's just kind of just like,
because if you're gonna really
whole different type of audience, but
yeah, I mean, if you're gonna really press those guys, you kind of need to have that ready, I feel like, because otherwise it's just like you said, Jeremy, you're gonna, you know, you can only go so far with your questioning, and you can only ask so much then, and then you kind of just have to take it on what that person says.
Well, I'm not going on Rogan yet, but I want to wrap it up here, and we're going to be doing this tomorrow, 3 o'clock on Saturday. Tomorrow, not Friday, but Saturday on 3 p.m. I'll be doing the Eastern Standard Time, 3 Eastern Standard Time, 12 Pacific Time. I'll be presenting again my UAP debrief. A shortened, more technical oriented version of that, and we'll see how short it is, man. But but yeah, I'll be representing this technical brief and some of the stuff that I've been working on for that. It's kind of midway through, and then we'll see what after the UAP report comes out in June, the end of June. I'll probably be doing another one to update it for any new material that they cover or comes out in that. But this one should be pretty interesting and a little more comprehensive. So stay tuned for that coming up, and I gotta get going off this stream. And also stay tuned for Tesla Tech in August, and I'll be posting more stuff about that and plans for other events surrounding that. So look forward to seeing you all again, and awesome. Thanks. Don't leave after the broadcast. You guys can join and hang out for the after party. I'll post the link right there in the description for anyone that wants to come and hang out. But thank you all for watching, and stay tuned, because I got some awesome stuff coming up this weekend, and I got some, hopefully having some better guests set up for next week. I did go back to work this week, so I didn't do as much work on streams and stuff. I just been kind of frustrated too with all the woo and the nonsense, and then I try to tell people we need to get more scientific credibility for ufology in this field, and they're just like, oh, screw you, science has ruined everything, and you're just all of mainstream science. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to bridge a gap. I'm trying to help show you perspectives, and you're just oh man, I'm just getting attacked from all sides. These people no, we want more woo, and why can't we have more woo?
People don't realize Jeremy works on this stuff. Oh,
what's that? You cut out?
What's that? You there?
Oh, bye for now. I don't know what's going on, but bye. We'll leave it at that, and catch you guys tomorrow. Less woo. Science is critical, and the scientific method and experimentation and building stuff and testing it and being skeptical of everything, including the mainstream, not just the conspiracy theorists. In fact, that was my thing on Saturday Night Live, right? I talked about when Elon was going to go on Saturday Night Live, he said on Twitter, he said, oh, name a skit that I should do for a Saturday Night Live skit with Elon Musk. And I said, oh, we should have SpaceX hire a bunch of conspiracy theorists on the internet to engineer the next warp drive. And it turns out that they were right after all, and they actually do it. And that was going to be my SNL skit.
I wonder how much Elon actually knows.
I know, right? Jesus.
I mean, because he does have a top secret, security clearance at minimum.
They don't even tell the presidents when they ask. They're like, "That's need to know, dude," and you don't need to know.
Well, right. Yeah, I mean that is the whole point of special access programs. So.
Yeah, if you're not on the end, you're not gonna get it. That club is closed.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and everybody take care.